You're listening to The Philosopher's Note on the Thrive Diet. More wisdom in less time.
Hi, this is Brian. Welcome to the Philosopher's Notes on the Thrive Diet, the whole food way to lose weight, reduce stress, and stay healthy for life by Brendan Brazier. We'll start with a quote from Brendan. He says, "The cornerstone of the Thrive Diet is high net gain foods. It's that simple. By eating more high net gain foods, your energy will rise, body fat will decrease, mental clarity will be enhanced, and cravings for refined foods will fade." End quote. So we all want to thrive in our lives, don't we? But it's kind of hard to live at our highest potential if we're having a hard time getting out of bed, isn't it? As an active, athletic vegan, I've worked hard to make sure I'm as healthy as I can be. That's why I was thrilled when I first met Brendan Brazier. We actually met at John Mackey, the CEO of Whole Foods' ranch. Brendan's a professional Ironman triathlete and is one of only a few professional athletes in the world whose diet is 100% plant-based. Yep, Ironman. And no meat, no dairy, no refined foods, nothing but plants. I'll repeat, Brendan only eats plant-based foods, and he's a professional athlete in what must be the most grueling sport out there. For those curious souls, an Ironman consists of a 2.4-mile swim, followed by a 112-mile bike ride, and wrapped up with a 26.2-mile marathon. The best athletes in the world do it in under 9 hours. Brendan's among that group. You might say to yourself, he does that and he only eats plants? Yep. But where does he get his protein? The common question. From plants. Tragically, plants don't have quite the same marketing spend as the meat and dairy industries. So you don't hear quite as much about their nutritional value. But we'll take a quick look at how to best thrive on the food nature intended us to eat in this note on Brendan's brilliant book, The Thrive Diet. So Brendan's a big fan of what he calls reducing stress to increase vitality. That's chapter 1. So let's go ahead and start there. As he says, reduce stress to increase vitality. That's big idea number 1. Stress. We're all familiar with it, and it seems to be multiplying on a day-to-day basis. But if you thought about just how much our poor eating habits might be contributing to our stress load, yepers, it takes a huge toll. Brendan says, quote, "Nutritional stress is the term used to describe the body's response to food that is void of nutrition and or foods that require a large amount of energy to digest and assimilate, like refined, unnatural ones. Nutritional stress has the same damaging physiological effects as other kinds of stress." End quote. So before we dive into the details of nutritional stress, which forms the heart of the book, let's take a quick look at stress as a whole. So Brendan points out the fact that there are different forms of stress: complementary, production, and uncomplementary. Complementary stress includes stuff like exercise, where the stress you put on your body is a good thing, aiding your body in strengthening itself and growing. According to Brendan, this is about 10% of our stress load. The next type is production stress. Production stress is a part of living a productive life, where we're going out, setting goals, showing up, and giving ourselves to the world. Brendan says this is about 30% of our stress load. Uncomplimentary stress is the term Brendan uses to describe anxiety that produces no benefit. This is about 60% of our stress load. Now, obviously, we want to make sure we're investing in the complementary stress category, ensuring that we're growing and strengthening ourselves actively through exercise. And of course, production stress is just a part of being alive. So we want to make sure we understand the uncomplimentary stress as much as possible, so we can make sure that 60% isn't kicking our butt and keeping us in bed. So within uncomplimentary stress, Brendan establishes a few categories. Nutritional, which he says is 70% of the stress in that uncomplimentary stress category. Psychological stress, which is 20%, and environmental stress, which is 10%. I'm going to pull a big chunk from Brendan's book because it articulates the cause and effect of nutritional stress so perfectly. So here's a long quote. "Nutritional stress for the average North American is by far the greatest source of uncomplimentary stress, accounting for approximately 70% of it. Nutritional stress is a relatively new term. It is simply defined as stress created by food because of its unhealthy properties. This definition is far-reaching, encompassing most foods many of us consider staples. And while this definition is accurate, it is not complete. Nutritional stress is much more than just unhealthy food. Not eating the right foods can cause nutritional stress. Not eating enough natural, unprocessed foods rich in vitamins, minerals, enzymes, high quality protein, fiber, essential fatty acids, antioxidants, and good bacteria, called probiotics, is a major source of stress on our lives. Without these nutritional building blocks, the body lacks the components it needs to regenerate completely and effectively. The result is a weaker, less resilient body, and, of course, more stress. End quote. Can I get a big amen to that? Now, if half those words didn't make sense to you, worry not. Although we won't be able to go into detail on all of them in this quick note, Brendan has an exhaustive appendix where he defines everything and also packs the book with what you want in your body, why, and how through the recipe section, so you can get your Thrive diet thriving. And if you're already familiar with all that stuff, first of all, congratulations. You'll also be giddy to get the book because Brendan makes some powerful, subtle distinctions that can help you take your thriving to the next level. For now, let's check back into the idea of nutritional stress. First, note the fact that Brendan states that nutritional stress accounts for 70% of uncomplimentary stress. That's 3.5 times the impact of psychological stress and 7 times the impact of environmental. That's a lot. And the primary cause of it is the, quote, overconsumption of refined food. From the fast food place to the heat and serve stuff filling our kitchen, most of our food is refined, denatured, and no longer a complete food source. Look at white bread as possibly the best example. The wheat has been stripped of its germ, where all the fiber and minerals can be found, leaving a food source that is so devoid of nutritional value it can hardly even be called food. Brendan goes into the details on the compromised health that results from the overconsumption of refined foods, from accelerating aging to chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia. The bottom line is simple. Refined foods don't have a place in the Thrive diet. So you can go ahead and stop listening to this now and go clean out your kitchen if you're serious about thriving. All right, the next big idea is biological age. Quote, have you ever noticed that those who exercise regularly look younger than those who don't? Although we have no control over our chronological age, our biological age is within our control. Biological age refers to the time that has passed since body cells last regenerated. When exercised, the body must regenerate its cells more rapidly than when idle. Depending on activity level, 6 to 8 months from now, our bodies will have regenerated nearly 100% of their tissue at the cellular level. This new tissue will literally be made up of what we eat between now and then. End quote. That is hot and worth a re-listen. So, how old are you? I'm talking biological age here. Are you exercising regularly? Remember, the more you push, the faster your body will be regenerating itself. In 6 to 8 months, our body will nearly completely regenerate itself. How cool is that? At a cellular level, I should say. And what are you eating? As Brendan points out, your new tissue, quote, will literally be made up of what we eat between now and then, end quote. So I'm kind of gently nudging you right now and suggesting you adopt at least more of a Thrive diet. And while you're at that, avoid the next big idea, slow leaks. Brendan tells a great story about how sometimes it takes something significant for people to change. He compares mild dissatisfaction in our lives. His example is at work, although it carries over to relationship, our health, and everything, to a slow leaking tire. So mild dissatisfaction equals a slow leaking tire. Now, you hardly even notice it and don't really do anything about it, refilling the tire with a bit of air when needed and then back to normal. But imagine if the tire just ripped open. You'd get it fixed immediately, wouldn't you? As Brendan says, quote, many people put up with things that are unpleasant but tolerable, rather than changing them. Their situation needs to become unbearable before they take action. So, in effect, an unbearable job is better than one that is simply dissatisfying, since it will be the catalyst for change, end quote. Same goes with your health. Are you only, quote, mildly disappointed with your current health? Saying to yourself, it's just a few extra pounds or a few dozen. I'm a little bit tired. I could look a little better and feel a little better, but I'm okay. Insert slow leaking tire sound here. Something like, barely even hear it. Well, wake up. Are you waiting for the heart attack to get yourself in shape? The stroke to debilitate you? Diabetes to set in? Rip your own tire open now and get fired up about optimizing your life now. Pretty please. Oh, and this goes for your relationship with your significant other, your kids, your colleagues, your job, your health, etc. Thrive. Now, pretty please, and I will officially step off the soapbox for a moment and get right back onto it as we move to coffee and credit, the next big idea. Quote, I consider coffee drinking an uncomplimentary stress. I view it as a form of credit, similar to shopping with a credit card. You get energy now that you don't actually have, but you pay for it later when the bill or fatigue hits. Simply drinking more coffee to put off the inevitable is like paying off one credit card with another. It will catch up with you sooner or later. You'll most likely pay a high interest rate as well, needing more time to recover than if energy had not been borrowed in the first place. This is the beginning of a vicious cycle. End quote. May I get another amen? Thank you very much. Wow, well, that sums it up. Are you borrowing your energy from coffee, high sugar drinks, or snacks? Guess what? It's going to catch up to you if it hasn't already. We can't live on credit forever. We've got to invest wisely and build a strong capital base nutritionally. The best way to do it? Again, eat a diet rich in plant-based foods and take a shortcut to getting there by picking up this book. All right, that's a pretty good theoretical foundation. Let's step into, quote, understanding the Thrive Diet, which is chapter 2. The first lesson, the next big idea, which is high net gain nutrition is key. Quote, the first and most general guideline of the Thrive Diet is to make high net gain foods a cornerstone of your diet. The net gain of food is the term I use to describe the energy and usable sustenance that our body is left with once the food has been digested and assimilated. End quote. Net gain. Brilliant concept. So your body has to invest energy to get energy from your food. Does that make sense? Here's the deal, though. Let's start with some refined food. First, because it's not really food and is missing enzymatic properties found in its whole form that would have aided in the assimilation of nutrients. Your body has to work harder to process refined foods than it does whole foods. Not a good equation. Ironically, once our bodies have done that work, the actual nutrients it gets is less than what it would have gotten from whole foods as well. You follow that? So unrefined foods equal more work to process plus less nutritional value once processed. That equals really bad net gain. Juxtapose that with whole foods, which are less work to process, and they give you more nutritional value once they're processed. That equals really good net gain. That makes sense? So how about your diet? Start doing a little calculation every time you sit down to eat. Look at your net gains and start increasing them. How do we do that? According to Brendan, we need to, quote, eat primarily foods that are raw or cooked at low temperature, naturally alkaline forming foods to pH balance the body, high nutrients the body can use without having to convert them, nutrient dense foods, vitamin and mineral rich from whole food sources, non-stimulating to recalibrate the body and eliminate biological debt, end quote. And all of these fall into the next big idea, which is the Thrive Diet Pyramid. Quote, by volume, the diet consists roughly of 45% fibrous vegetables, 20% fruit, 20% legumes, seeds, and pseudograins, 10% cold-pressed oils, nuts, and avocado, and 5% starchy vegetables and whole grains, end quote. You can check out the book for the details of the pyramid, including exhaustive list of what falls where. And again, how to make them into yummy meals. His recipe section is really cool. My book is so marked up it's funny. My goddess and I have used it as our shopping list, and I can literally feel my energy build as I integrate more and more ideas from the book into my life. Totally fun. All right, the next big idea is enzymes rock. Didn't you know that? All right, the quote is, food that has not been heated above about 118 degrees Fahrenheit is considered to be raw. High temperature cooking and processing of food destroys the enzymes and nutrients that allow the food to be efficiently digested. Therefore, before the body can make use of cooked food, it must produce enzymes to aid in the digestion process. That takes work, an energy draw that creates a nominal amount of stress. End quote. Remember that whole net gain equation? And the fact that a great deal of our uncomplimentary stress comes from our nutrition? Well, we want to avoid making our bodies work harder than necessary to digest foods. So, Brendan would suggest that we eat more raw foods, which are naturally packed with enzymes. Next big idea is alkalinity is good. Quote, the balance of acid and alkaline within the body is referred to as pH, meaning potential of hydrogen, and measured on a scale ranging from pH 1, the most acidic, to pH 14, the most alkaline. A neutral or good pH balance is 7.35. Maintaining this balance is vital. End quote. Alkalinity. We could write a whole book on this subject, and many have been written. Brendan goes into detail on the importance of maintaining alkalinity and how to maintain it. Know this, digesting refined foods creates an acidic environment in your body. Hello, acid reflux and disease, etc. Your body must maintain its homeostatic balance of 7.35. It takes a lot of work to stay there when you shove every refined food under the sun into your mouth. That's not good. Disease likes to play in that environment. The solution? Eat a Thrive diet, or at least something a lot closer to it. All right, that was a whirlwind tour of some of my favorite big ideas from my favorite nutrition book. There's so much goodness in this book that you can immediately apply to your life, regardless of your starting point, that I hope you rush over to your nearest bookstore or hop online and get it now. I have no doubt you'll be happy you did, and I look forward to swapping stories on how we're thriving. For now, I'm off to have one of the yummy smoothies I found in the Thrive diet. All right, that wraps it up. But before I can go get that smoothie, I'll tell you a little bit more about Brendan. I will suggest some other notes I think you'll like if you like this one. And we'll go through some of the quotes in the sidebar of the PDF. First, about the author of the Thrive Diet, Brendan Brazier. Brendan Brazier is one of only a few professional athletes in the world whose diet is 100% plant-based. He's a professional Ironman triathlete, best-selling author on performance nutrition, and the creator of an award-winning line of whole food nutritional products called Vega. He's also a two-time Canadian 50K ultra-marathon champion. Wow. Nominated in 2006 for the Manning Innovation Award, Canada's most prestigious award for innovation, Brendan was shortlisted for the formulation of Vega. In 2006, Brendan was also invited to address U.S. Congress on Capitol Hill, where he spoke of the significant social and economic benefits that could be achieved by improving personal health through better diet. In 2007, Brendan was named one of the 25 fascinating vegetarians by Veg News magazine. You can learn more at brendanbrazier.com. That's BrendanBrazier.com. If you like this note, I think you'll like my philosopher's notes on strength for life, mastery, and the gifted adult. All right, let's check out some of those quotes, and then we'll call it a day. All right, so all of these quotes are from Brendan Brazier. Start with, the Thrive diet will potentially eliminate up to 40% of the total stress on the average North American's body. Complementary stress can build physical strength and improve motivation. Once diet is improved, production stress can be embraced, and productivity will therefore be enhanced. Improved diet is the number one way to reduce overall stress. As a general rule, the less that has been done to your food, the better its return will be. The most complete, balanced form of one-step nutrition is sprouted foods. I'm often asked how I am able to gain and maintain strength and lean muscle and have an abundance of energy for high-performance training while eating fewer calories than most people. One of the most important factors is that I select food with the net gain concept in mind, rather than by the conventional calorie counting method. For enzyme health, it would be ideal for all of us to eat only raw, organic food the day it's harvested, not be exposed to any environmental pollutants, and to live a stress-free life. Obviously, this is not realistic, but we can enhance our enzyme intake and production. And finally, the amount of oil Americans consume could be reduced by up to 30% if we were eating an energy-efficient diet. Whole nother conversation about the impact on the environment and our oil consumption related to eating more of a vegetarian diet. But that's for another note. Hope you enjoyed this one, and here is to our Thrive diet. Have a fantastic day, and look forward to sharing the next one with you.
We hope you enjoyed this Philosopher's Note. Please go to www.philosophersnotes.com to download more.